Hello and welcome to an Everquest Necromancer 110 guide. So today we're going to go over how I play my 110 Necromancer voxel here and how I go about that. So I do not box with this character. This character is fresh, if you will. This is a different server. He's exactly 1 day old. And let's kind of talk about how I play this guy. So as you can see here, I have a bunch of spells memorized and very minimal hotbar action going on. So we're going to cover spells first and kind of go into that. So right over here, my first spell I have is Refute for Blood. And the ordering of this is because I like to hit Alt 1 like that. So Alt 1, 2, and 3 are my primary spells. And I like to just be able to hit those instead of hitting these down here on the hotbar sometimes. So it just depends on how I'm playing. But the order is based on that. So Refute for Blood. So this inflicts a Hungry Toxin, which is a direct damage of 14,000. It has a 25% chance to give you a temporary damage to your damage over time spell. So if we cast this right here, Refute for Blood. We didn't get it. We got Defiler Synergy though. So if we look over here at our focus, right here, top one. Refute for Blood is our focus spell. So we're going to want to be hitting this every 12 seconds. So Refute for Blood every 12 seconds. When we do get that, we'll get one here eventually. It'll give us an extra bonus to our damage on damage over time spells. And then Defiler Synergy also gives us another 20% critical increase to damage over time and direct damage spells. And that goes to everybody in the group, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, all group members get a 20% critical chance. So that alone is a reason to have a Necromancer group with you. This is it, Chaotic Power. Chaotic Power increases the base damage of 110 or lower. We are 110 damage over time spells that have a duration of at least 24 seconds. So this excludes, I believe, the Swift lane Swift dots, because those are 18 seconds. And they have to do at least 100 damage every 6 seconds by 35. So it really increases the amount of damage that you can get out of a dot. Definitely really nice to have. Along with the synergy, right? So how do I... I'll go into rotation after I get through all the spells. But then I have Inevitable End. Inflict a dark curse upon your target, adding 32 curse counters. This is 7,400 damage over time for 30 seconds. Pyre of the Shadow Warden. Or Shade Warden, jeez. My eyesight's going. This does 12,000 over every 6 seconds for 30 seconds. And then we get Burning Shadow, which is 5,500 damage every 6 seconds. Adds damage to incoming life drain effects. So there's a synergy there that I didn't even realize. That one lasts for a minute. Pyre of the Fray. Yeah, let's go with Fray. This is another 55,000 or 5,500 damage every 54 seconds every 6 seconds. We have Polyballed Venom, 8,300 damage every 6 seconds for 42 seconds. Let's see, what's this one? This is Pallid Haze, 5,900 damage every 6 seconds for 42 seconds. This is a combined disease. So this is both disease spells in one cast. So they do, what, 5,200 a tick and 6,700 a tick. You only get these on odd expansions. So the next one will be a Clause 115 at Clause of Vishan, and then 120 at Night of Shadow. So if you don't have it, you might, decide to go to your newer ranks of the spells, right? This just happens to be at 110. I have the highest rank, so I can get right now. Then I have wounds, and this is more of a one-time spell per mob. Most of the time, sometimes I don't cast it because it takes 1 minute and 36 seconds before this even starts really doing damage. It does 4,100 damage a tick, but it's not until after that where the second stage of this goes and starts activating. So if you're soloing a mob that takes more than 1 minute and 36 seconds to cast, a named mob, you're going to want to put wounds on it for sure. And then I have Icy Mending, which is a pet heal. I was doing some pet tanking while leveling, and healing my pet was important because the mercenary was not able to keep up because a heroic character starts with 0 mercenary AAs. So the mercenary is a little bit underpowered there. Gives your minion, so this is Infused Ally. This just makes the pet heal a little bit better. I guess it also gives it a chance to give me an Essence Emerald. I have not gotten one yet. But I try to keep this on the pet as much as I can, just so he can kind of heal himself a little bit more. And I still use the 121 on my 120 Necromancer. Then I have Ashen Skin. This is a rune, but it also gives mana regen 17 points, so worth having there. And then for my pet, I use the I think the one I have is actually the Adora's Shade, the 107 one. I have not switched to the 106 one yet because this one's all buffed, and I would have to do it. But you want the highest level pet you got. You're gonna want to use your highest level haste, and you could use these Aegis and stuff like that. I use the AA versions to give him a little bit more tanking. And I did miss I skipped over Call Skeleton Army. This is a swarm pet, so well, I guess calling them swarm pets now is a little bit misnomer, but it summons a pet. It used to summon 3 little skeletons that would run out and attack. Now you got 1, and it's just a short duration. You could consider it a dot, really. It does melee damage, right? You can see how much it's doing. Like 25,000-ish criticals. And they have a durability, so they can kind of off tank for a few seconds sometimes. So definitely something worth casting. And I do cast that at least once or twice per fight. Just depends on how I'm doing it. And let me see if there's anything else. I think that's all the spells I really mostly use. A lot of the stuff I use other than that is AA. So that's the spells. Let's go into the hotbar. So all my characters have the same kind of hotbar here. This hide corpse 1-on-1 just hides all the corpse in auto inventories, just in case something's on the cursor. I don't believe this character had forage. I used to forage there. So yeah, let's see here. This is the group assist right here. So what I do when I'm grouping, because I have exclusively been grouping this character, minus some soloing there for a little bit, but I pretty much refute for blood. So I assist, refute for blood, which if I get the proc, I'm good. If not, I get the Defiler synergy for everybody, so everybody else is doing more spell crit and dot crit. And you got to do that every 12 seconds to maintain that, so it's something to keep in mind. And then I have all my dots. I like to cast them individually. I don't use macros for my dots on this character. The same with my 120 Necro. It gets me into a situation, right? Like I could have, like, let's just cast them all in here, right? So there's the first one, Neville's End, that's 30 seconds. The first Pyre is 30 seconds. Burning Shadow is, I think, 1 minute and something, right? And you can notice, if you notice right up here in the corner, right, there's the numbers going down. Each tick of a dot will cause that to go down. So as long as you have it up, right? So there we go. It's gonna go down. So right there on the disease, I'm gonna, refute. I didn't get it, but at this point I need to redo Inevitable. There we go. I'm gonna do another refute, and then I'm gonna go into Pyre. Alright, so all my dots are on at the moment. There's 3 fire, 2 poison, 2 disease, right? So the first poison's wearing off, right? Now the third fire, which is 6, is wearing off. And then just maintaining these on the mob is how I kind of play them, right? And if I'm doing a, you know, a mob that needs the you know, that's got a lot more hit points, I'm going to be doing that. So refute and Inevitable wore off. Now everything's starting to wear off, so I just start going through the cycle again. And you notice we're like running out of mana pretty quick, right? But this is this seems to be the maximum amount of DPS I can churn out, right? It just depends. Here, let's go ahead and stop doing that since we're running out of mana anyway. This character has terrible gear. I got some conflagrant that I was given and stuff like that. But for the most part, I'm still wearing level 100 consigned heroic boosted gear, but everything else is just whatever I've gotten from killing so far. I do have my Lucent Cloak of Senalian, so I got that. But the gear is not really there yet. Let's kind of go into some of the other stuff here. So that's all the spells and how I do it, right? I just pretty much start here and I work my way down. If the mobs are dying too fast, I would switch all these out. Like if they're dying too fast, I go into direct damage and I do refute for blood, but I also do, if it's undead, I'll do the undead nuke. If it's not undead, I'm gonna go with a life tap. Wow, everything turned blue. I'm gonna go with the essence line right here. Maybe soul siphon too, because this got a longer recast. But you know, I'm gonna go with consume essence as the thing, right? And so there are wounds just ticked in. So notice how much more damage it does. Like wounds was 11,000, now it's 54,000. 700, yeah, 700 to 70,000. And a critical, you know, so if the mob is lasting for a long time, you're going to wounds it, right? I would go more direct damage with those kind of things. I like to do the life taps because then I can just like Death Bloom and Blood Magic, and there's no health loss or anything like that. And they're fast cast, right? Anything fast casting is going to be where you're going to want to go with that. I have a pet attack macro, which just goes to the assist target, pet attack, pet swarm, cast 10. Cast 10 is my call army. So, you know, I send the pet in like this, send the swarm in, right, go, got the swarm pet. Now, let's say I want to fight this one now. Boom, both switch to it immediately. I don't do the Q. I feel like that is, that's gonna get me into trouble. You know, if I have to switch target, I have to switch target, so I keep it off. Pet heal, so I have the Mend Companion AA plus my spell 11, Icy Mending, so just that gives a big burst of healing, right? I manually cast Companion's Aegis, and that puts in, you know, a little bit more defensive on the pet, and just I hit mend when I need to, right? So if I have to heal, it's because the mercenary did something terrible and whatnot. And you don't have to target the pet to heal it; it'll automatically do that. So, and then I have a debuff macro, which just does my 2 debuffs. So scent and encroaching. So scent, when activates the highest tier of Scent of Terrace, Scent of Extinction, and Death's Malaise, if you have it memorized, on undead targets. So that gives us slow. That slows the undead target by 45% and cripples it pretty much. And then the other ones lower the resistance to poison and disease and increasing the damage they'll take from disease-based spells up to 113. So definitely something you want to put on every one of them. And this one here lowers fire, poison, and disease resistance also. So definitely in a named situation, you're going to want to do that. This also gives, you know, the Necromancer the ability to slow undead targets. So that is something you also want to do without having to memorize any spells, right? Let's see here. What is it? It looks like I don't have it, but there wasn't a slow. Maybe it's right here. Maybe it's under undead, actually. It's slave. No, these are all charms. Shackle of Spirit. That's it. At 38, we get a undead slow. Now, it's not worth the spell slot. And then I have Death Peace, which is Feign Death, and I have Death's Effigy, which is another Feign Death. I haven't met a macro for this yet, but effectively I want to just, you know, so I can Feign Death. I have to Feign Death quite a bit. My dots pull aggro, and the guy I'm grouping with on this server here, he plays a Beast Lord, so I don't want to pull aggro off him, because his aggro is very fixed, so... but yeah, it's good aggro though. And then I have my transportation, so Throne, Origin, Gate, Levant. Levant just is a secure but single target. And then Lesson. I do not multi-bind anything at the moment for this character. It is all manual. I don't think there really is an option to multi-bind any of this stuff, because this is really looking at timers and stuff like that. I plan on building out EQ log parser timers for all these dots. It's just a matter of figuring out how to not get other people's dots, right? So I should be able to get that going, so I can have a little countdown timer of that. I don't know why I didn't load the log parser beforehand, but that's that. That's all of that hotbar. Right over here I have my 3 swarm pet summons, really. So Wake Dead, this will, like, so I say I kill all 3 of these, right? They're gonna have 3 corpses. I can wake the dead, I can summon them back, and they'll fight as swarm pets, and I can use pet swarm to command them around. They last for like 90, it says 90 seconds. Doesn't feel very long, but they last for a little while. And then we get Swarm of Decay, which it used to summon multiple skeletons, now it only does 1. And it's a archer, and it just shoots arrows, and the little arrows do how much damage? 200 and 2500 damage. You know, it's not too bad. I just throw them out there whenever I think about it. In a burn situation is probably where you'd want to do them the best, but in experienced situations, I just throw them out whenever. Let's see here. Rise of Bones, it summons another skeleton. This is a warrior one, like if we target him right. Rise of Bones, just a red skeleton comes out, starts beating on a mob. Does, you know, moderate damage, right? He's doing 11, 12,000. It's about right. I can swap him over here to this one. That's the wrong spell. There we go. So you see how he instantly switched with the swarm. Now, if I had a mage, you know, like I was boxing a mage, they would get extra damage. The mage would, from all the pets. So that's something to consider there. And then Dying Grasp, this is just a like, oh, I'm gonna die, might as well try to get something. I have it right here in the center. I just click it, and you know, it's spell damage, right? 146,000. I don't know how much that healed me for since I'm full life, but you know, something to throw out there. Then we have our what I've selected out right now as burns, right? As we get to the 115, 120, 125 videos on this character, my burns will be a little bit more fleshed out, since I've literally made this character and we leveled it up to 110 in like 2 days. So I haven't spent a lot of time on that kind of stuff yet. But Funeral Pyre, Expedites your damage over time spells to a duration of 12 seconds, to increasing their damage by 40% and reducing their duration by 50%, and increasing the mana cost. So that's not too bad. This is a 20-minute reuse kind of spell, so it's kind of a burn, kind of, just click it and go. Heretic's Twin Cast. This allows you to twin cast 19 dots, so you get 2 minutes and 30 seconds to twin cast all your dots, and that really increases our damage. I think that's probably one of the biggest damage increasers I have at the moment. Archlich is a robe, so this is the configure robe, but it doesn't really matter. Let's see here. This one's kind of terrible. So next 10 spells, which will deal 40,000. So trigger consuming. Yeah, so it heals me and does damage. I don't know. It's a robe. I click it, right? Not 100% sure on that. I think there's a different effect that I'm looking for on a different robe. I just don't have it on this character yet. Spire of Necromancy increases the chance that you'll do damage. Your damage over time spells will critical by 25%. The damage dealt by your critical damage over time spells by 230%. And blesses your summon companion with Companion's Necromancy, which my pet will now, with 100% chance, trigger Companion's Bite, which deals 48,000 damage and heals him. So pretty much God mode for the pet, and extremely high extra damage for the Necromancer. 230 extra percent to our damage over time spells. It's a 7-minute reuse burn. You're going to want to use that. It does not affect anybody else in the group, I don't believe. At least the recording here says not in the text, but effectively you're going to want to line a lot of stuff up before you actually start burning. Hand of Death. When activating, increase the base damage of your damage over time spells by 40 to 130% for 1 minute. So you have 1 minute to get your spells out there and just start getting those huge ticks. Gathering Dusk, and let's see here, this one, 25,000 damage every 6 seconds and increases your hatred. So it's just another spell to throw out there. It's going to give us more aggro, so it's, use it as the situation is appropriate for your character, right? So if you're trying to, not die, you might not want to cast that one. And then Silent Casting just lowers our hatred. How long is this? It's 1 minute and 1 minute and 30 seconds. So you got a little time. A lot of this lines up. So you'd probably want to do pretty much all these. You could do probably, I think, hand it is. Yeah, you could probably do hand in the first part, right? You could probably do funeral in the first part. Heretic don't do until you're ready to start casting those 19 spells. And then Spire, you have 1 minute and 30 seconds, so you could get this one out there pretty much immediately. There's other things like Life Burn. I mean, I've used it on my other Necromancer a few times, and I just didn't really think it was useful compared to the other stuff, right? What is this? Deals 75 of your health as 125% damage, so let's actually hotkey that real quick. Alright, spell damage, life burn. 167,000 damage with 6k per tick, right? I mean, I'm a little, not really, I'm not feeling that as much. It's not that big a damage. We crit Dying Grasp for 146k, and then we had a 700k wounds crit, right? So I mean, anything under 200k is kind of weak in my opinion. Death Bloom. So this is one of our mana regenerations. This is like a super lich. I can't activate it right now. I don't have my mercenary out, but it takes 10,000 health, restores 4,200 mana. You can die while this is going. This lasts a minute, and your health just ticks down. Right. I only have 177k right now. Ideally, the more health you have, the better for that kind of spell. And then that kind of goes into this spell here, Blood Magic. When activated, it causes you to consume your spell's mana from your health rather than your mana. Increases your health regen in 5 phases that cannot be removed early, right? And then each of these has a different 500% spells mana as health, health regeneration up by 18. So while you're doing that, you want the most hit points you can possibly have so that you don't die. And that's good, right? So what I do is about 75 to 65% of my mana. So like right about here-ish, I hit Death Bloom, right? And then about 40% I'll hit Blood Magic. And typically that works, to get me going. Like the way I play most of the time is I don't stop. I try to be on my mount as much as I can, but until the expansion releases, I don't have a mount to claim that's better than the heroic one. So once the expansion comes out, I'll claim a better mount, but pretty much on the mount, we have more regen by default, and we have more mana regen. So you want to be on the mount as much as you possibly can, just to do that. And I use them about like 40 to 40% I use the Blood Magic, 65%, 75% I use Death Bloom. Just depends. Let's see here. Pestilence. Yeah, this is one of my favorite spells. So what this does is, like, if I target this guy, I don't think I'll do anything. It'll root him, right? It's almost instant cast. It's it'll root the target for what is the duration? 2 minutes, almost 3 minutes actually. 2 minutes and 50 something seconds, right? That's a 3-minute root as long as nothing does damage to it, right? So I typically do not send my pet on it when I'm root rotting. The pet is really just out to keep me safe if something happens, right? I typically keep the mob, snared. So we're a snare. Entombing Darkness is, I guess, the snare now. I keep the snare, it's snared, resist debuffed, and if it's undead, I slow it, right? And then I just do that, and I just go through my dot, rotation well, if it's something that's gonna last long enough, I'll do wounds first, but if not, I just do 2 to 9 on my dots and refresh them as necessary, depending on how far the health is, right? If the health is like below 30%, I only do the first 2 over and over again, since they're quick duration, highest damage, and everything else is long duration. So it just depends on what you're doing. What is this one? Embrace Decay. Oh, this is our purge. This gets rid of any diseases, any corruption, all that stuff. It's kind of nice. It works. Like the one time I did use it, it didn't cure it enough. And I still died. But that was I was like 103 inside a Sethir's tomb or something like that. So it just wasn't enough to cure that. Let's see here. Then we have Summon Companion. So this summons our pet to us. I think in an older video I mentioned it doesn't work in combat, but apparently rank 2 does work in combat. So something to consider there. So if I tell my pet to stop, I can summon him back to me. And like if I want to get him right, like behind the mob, right? So if we're not in a, you know, tanking situation, we want to have our pet from behind as much as possible, right? So if I send him now, he should stay on behind, right? Since these mobs don't move. So he'll do a little bit more damage from behind. I don't think he backstabs or anything like that. I don't know 100% on that. Let's see here. Frenzy Dead. This just increases our pet damage for a little while, like a little burst of damage. It has a passive effect to increase the pet damage and critical chance, so it's really nice. This one here is Companion's Fortification. This by passive increases the pet's health, avoidance, and armor class passively. You want to max these out if you're going to be using your pet at all, but when it's activated, it gives it a few different things here. I'm trying to see, here it is. You know, reduces damage, shield potency, increases avoidance, melee shield for, what is that, 350,000, and a spell shield. So, you know, just a nice little tanky buff, almost like a mini pet defensive, really. And Companion Aegis here, this will give it a shield that does that. So if you've watched my Paladin videos, think of this as Thwart or, you know, that kind of spell, right? It's a short duration, lasts for a certain amount of hits. It's a 30-second reuse at the moment. I don't know, I can't remember if that goes down or not. Doesn't look like it, but the values go up every level that you get another level of it. And that's pretty good for, you know, saving the pet in certain cases. Like, typically you want to hit it on cooldown if you're doing pet tanking. So see here, Miracle Torment, reduces the cat. This is more of a burn spell. I just didn't have any room up there. I need to turn these all into macros so that I can kind of have a burn 1 and burn 2, get them out there pretty quick. Let's see here, Mortifer's Unity. So this is our Unity, all our self buff spells. I block the Flesh to Venom line of spells because it's a, you know, it's 6,200 poison damage, direct damage when you are dotting. So if I'm root rotting, right, I don't want that direct damage to hit the mob because it is gonna cause the root to break. So I just block it instead of trying to click it off. And then it just does our shield and then our mana lich form, right? I think the Contracide is the current version, so 255 hit points and we get 283 mana. Now, if we look at my regen, right? I have 6,000 regen at the moment with all the whatever buffs I have on from Guild Lobby, right? So it's almost like free mana. It's better than Clarity. It actually overwrites Clarity at this point, the best one, because it gives more regen than Clarity. So yeah, that is all that. That's some controls. Perfect invisibility, perfect group invisibility on dead man floating, pet earring. I only have a Summoner's Conflagrant at the moment, which will just right click it, make the pet smaller, and then Summon Banker. AA wise, I kind of covered most of them, right? Like everything else is passive, but what I'm going to be buying, right? So I'm 110, I'll have to be buying AAs from this point on. Where's cost? There we go. Enhanced Ruin here. This is going to be the next on my list, I believe, and then Destructive Cascade next on the list after that. So that's quite a big few AA right there. And then Companion's Fury, Aegis, and Fortification. I'm going to be picking all of those up, and also they are very beneficial to the pet tanking style of playing. So we'll make sure we get those. And then over here in the class line, we're going to make sure we get all the burn ones, the updated Unity, Let's see here. Make sure there's nothing I'm not missing. So we have Death Bloom. I believe we're going to get a new rank of that at 115. So, you know, that's in the distance. You're going to want to get that. The Blood Magic one. Looks like there's 2 ranks of Blood Magic. Both are at 115. So, definitely, you know, that is the direction. But I think the biggest bang for the buck right now is Enhanced Ruin, followed by Destructive Cascade. So, I mean, that's at least... That's at least 400 AA there for the 2 ranks of that, plus let's go with probably another 200 AA there just to get all those ranks up. So those are probably the most important thing to focus on immediately, and then followed up by anything else that helps you better, right? If you're doing more names and stuff, you're going to want the burns and anything to make your pet more defensive, right? So it just depends. One thing I did on my original Necromancer on Coronavi, I slept on the defensive stuff, and I regret that. I didn't get them until later. General sturdiness and natural durability will increase our hit points, so that is something to actually focus on. I think after damage. I would say for a DPS class, go for damage first, then defensive. But if you're having trouble staying alive, you might want to go with that. But that's pretty much how I play this guy. I just, you know, I come in here and I just start dotting, right? And I typically, like, my assist button, right, is refute for blood. So I assist, but I don't wait for this, you know, this chaotic power until... at all, really. If I get it, I get it. If I don't, I don't. But I just kind of go through all my dots, and it's every you know, however, whenever the synergy goes away, right? I just hit assist again, and repeat, right? Increases everybody in the group's damage, so it's definitely worth it, right? So, you know, definitely do that. And I've been playing in a group, right? You know, if you're solo, it still helps you. So keep that in mind. There we go. And just, you know, redo all your dots. You know, just I'm not even really paying that close attention here. But you want 3 fire, 2 poison, 2 disease, plus the magic one. And if you do wounds, you get it on there. If you don't have wounds up, I pick... I do the... where is it at? Duration tap. Dichomic Proxims is the progressive one from TBM. I pulled that one up. It's kind of nice. At 111, I'll get a new one, so I'll replace that with that one. But it's, you know, it's pretty much a long recast life tap over time. And there's a new one at 111 that I'll pick up, but not until then. As you can see, it's just, you know, a matter of keeping those dots up and getting the most out of that as you can. Sending your pet in as much as you possibly can, right? You want the pet from behind and stuff like that. It just depends, but there we go. That is the 110 Necromancer. I might use the same character to do a 105 one because it's there's not much difference. But at 105, I might do one just for that, just to kind of knock it out. Just lower the spell ranks down and kind of go over how they all work. But right now, this is I'll do one. Should do another one at 115. Cover anything that changes, but that's how I play it. That's how I play my 120. So just adding the new ranks is really the best way to go there. But thank you very much for watching, and please have a fantastic day.